Disney is an entertainment company that is in peril right now because nearly every aspect of their business is bleeding. Whether it's the box office, whether it's streaming, whether it's linear television, whether it's the theme parks. Everywhere it seems like they're hurting. And as their stock edges ever closer to $80 a share, the worst we've seen in a decade for Disney, we just got a major announcement that for Disney means they're about to have to sign a $9 billion check at a minimum for a company that's already losing money on streaming. They lost $500 million as a company in total last quarter. And now they're going to have to write a check for $9 billion. Comcast CEO moves up Hulu's stake sale timeline, touts $30 billion plus valuation. Brian Roberts also said Disney will likely shortly use a put option to take over NBC Universal's minority stake in Hulu after a sales process starting on September 30th. Now, what does this mean? I thought Disney already owned Hulu, blah, blah, blah. Well, 5 years ago, when we had the 20th Century Fox deal where Disney bought all this stuff, like a $70 billion deal overall, there was also the Hulu situation to consider because Comcast had a 1/3 stake in Hulu. Disney essentially bought 2/3 of Hulu so they could have control of it in that initial deal, with the understanding that at some point in time, Disney would be required to purchase the last bit of that from Comcast. Now, when it was valued at $27.5 billion at a minimum, that would mean, at a minimum, Disney owes Comcast $9.1 billion. It was originally scheduled to happen in January. Well, that timeline has moved up a little bit, which means Disney, somehow, some way, is going to have to fork over at least $9 billion. It could potentially be more. Let's get into this. And I just want to say it was funny because when I started looking at other articles, there was some confusion in the mainstream media. Some people thought this meant that they were extending it, that it would be a benefit to Disney, that Disney would get all the way until 2024. Comcast extends date for Hulu deal with Disney to September of 2024. But then you had Comcast moves up Hulu date. Comcast extends date. Corrected update, Comcast moves update. There was a lot of confusion with the mainstream press over this announcement, but let's get into it here. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts is waiting on the carriage dispute showdown between Hollywood giant Walt Disney and cable giant Charter Communications, while also talking about his company's 1/3 stake in Hulu being set to be sold to Disney. Roberts reported that September 30th will mark an initial deadline to set in motion Disney using a put option that would require the studio that owns the remaining 2/3 to take over its minority stake. As of September 30th, after some short period of time, Disney can call, we can put, and I believe that's what will end up happening. Roberts told the Goldman Sachs Communicopia Plus Technology Conference during a session about the Disney Charter carriage dispute. He also talked about the valuation for the Hulu stake, which would likely have a floor of just under $30 billion. I think we're excited to get this resolved. And the minimum of $27.5 billion that was just a hypothetical we picked out 5 years ago. The company's way more valuable today than it was then, while arguing Hulu and Netflix are in a class all by themselves. If it does get valued, say Hulu gets valued at 40, that would be a lot more that Disney would have to pay to get full control over that asset. We'll see what happens, but as of right now, it looks like Disney is going to be on the hook for at least another $9 billion. They knew that this was coming up in the future. I don't know. When you look at Disney, when you look at their cash flow, when you look at everything that's been happening to this company, they've known this was coming. They knew that they were going to have to pay this $9 billion. Where is that going to come from, and what is that going to look like? Because now the timetable has been moved up, and a company that is bleeding everywhere. Box office flops, massive streaming losses, right? Disputes with TV because their ad revenue is going down, their marketing revenue is going down, everything with people cutting the cord. It's resulted in a loss of revenue from their linear television stuff. They're looking at selling that off too. Disney's in a bad spot. And now they just learned that that $9 billion check to pay for streaming is going to come even sooner than they thought. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.